So, today I want to talk about why politics doesn't matter as much as you think. Now, I don't want you guys to misunderstand me. The laws that are passed today do greatly affect our lives, right? Like if you live in a town where they're letting in a bunch of illegal immigrants, that is going to affect your life. If you want an abortion and they pass a law that means you can't get one, it won't affect your life that much. You can just drive to a different state, but hypothetically it could, right? But how much influence do you personally have as a person? So, the presidential debate was yesterday, and I saw conservatives going to Twitter to give their political takes. Trump destroyed Kamala, the moderators were unfair, etc., etc. I used to follow politics very closely. I loved watching the Daily Wire, Charlie Kirk, and any Candace Owens political debate. Their work is important, and I'm not going to pretend it's not. But my conclusion is none of the debates matter as much as we think. Working in media, it blows my mind how two people can watch the same debate and both believe different people won. When I was working and doing debates, there would be debates where we would both use the same title, Pearls Destroyed or Pearl Destroys, meaning we both could use the debate for our content where we both would say that we won the debate, and both of our followers would agree. The female voting bloc will walk away from this debate thinking Kamala won, and conservatives will think Trump won by landslide. Trump is a misogynist from the liberals. Conservatives will think that Trump destroyed Kamala. Both will walk away and still vote for who they vote for. So why would I, as a normal person, put a ton of energy into it? From my experience, people do not change their worldview until reality forces them to change it. The educated liberal will not vote Republican until liberal policies come for her paycheck. Do not get me wrong. I am not arguing that media is not powerful, but I am arguing it does not affect us as much as we think. So many media personalities make money off of drama. Don't get me wrong, it is entertaining. I have participated. Watching Charlie Kirk debate 20 college kids is hilarious. Watching Jordan Peterson destroy a feminist is even inspirational. Watching me go online and say that a certain voting bloc shouldn't vote in a room full of liberals is too funny. Don't get me wrong, it may be useful when you are younger and trying to formulate your opinions, seeing people debate both sides. But overall, this stuff is entertainment and should be looked at as such. I have no problem doing debates from time to time, but you will see my content has moved away from that. There's a couple of reasons I have reached this conclusion. The first being that I read a men's rights group from 1920s. The men were complaining about much of the same things that they complain about now. Basically, in 100 years of asking for men's rights, we have little to no progress. Don't get me wrong, you do see small changes in the laws updating and the occasional woman getting put on alimony, but overall, I would say that women have far more power to oppress men than 100 years ago. I am conservative. I know I'm going to vote Trump. How is following the election closely going to affect my day-to-day life? It won't. You will have a far greater impact building lasting relationships with the people around you than following politics for the average person. I'm not talking about people that have YouTube channels, okay? The last month, I have been learning recipes in order to be a better cook. The time I learned spending how to cook will make my life better because I have better meals. It makes my friends and family's lives better because they get food too. And potentially you have deeper relationships with the people around you and you can be far more influential over time than fighting or even watching a podcast. The women who do this over time have a tendency to become masculine. I don't think women are meant to think about the world's problems. What I did not realize when I was debating 6 days a week was how masculine and how stressed it made me thinking about the world's problems. Women try to separate it, but I just cannot imagine these trad wives talking about war in Ukraine and coming home and being peaceful for their families and their husbands. Dealing with this firsthand, I can say that it masculinizes you, and I see a lot of these women getting sort of a God complex. Many of these women view themselves as guided by God and almost have a savior complex. They talk about banning porn and become the Karen at every school meeting. One of my mentors and one of the most feminine women I have ever met said something to me that struck me a couple of months back. She said, "Jesus could not convert the world. Why would I think that I could?" Most women in politics lack femininity and deep down are fueled by fear and anxiousness because part of femininity is letting things go outside of your control. You do not get that warm feeling of motherliness from any of the political commentators. And hey, maybe they can turn it on when they get home. I don't know. They may be nice people, but you don't get that warm feeling. Many people use politics as a way to virtue signal. I see this in conservative men and women especially. The next strategy political parties use is an us versus them complex. If you are in the conservative group, then that signals to you you are automatically deemed as a good or better person. I am embarrassed to say that to some degree I used to buy into this. I used to think that people have a higher morality if they are conservative. But one of the realizations that I came to was that conservative women and liberal women are really not different. People are people, and if anything, I saw conservative women as being much more deceptive. Liberal women are much more upfront with their downfalls. Take the Hillary Crowder case, for example. She was crying on the internet about how Steven Crowder was abusive while taking $25,000 a month from him in alimony and child support. Candace Owens backed her up. Lauren Chen backed her up. All of these so-called conservative women band together to take down a man they did not like. Candace Owens even invited Hillary to come on her show to spill the tea on Crowder. These are supposed Christian women who put internet drama above the Crowder's children's well-being. The reason I keep bringing up this case is because it shows that conservative women are conservative until they have to put their money where their mouth is. And if the woman has to choose between her reputation and the man's, she will always put her reputation first and use the tools the state has in order to do so. These are the conservative women that the men have to choose from. They may not have their tits out or say that they hate men, but their behavior is often the same and at other times worse. The reason that it is worse is because these conservative women care more about their reputation in a way that liberal women do not. If a liberal woman is found out to be a bad wife, she does not care. She will tell you up front that she does not need a man. But if a conservative woman is found out to be a bad wife, then the man must be abusive because it certainly cannot be her as the problem. And this was what I found in my experience, men that were victims of divorce rape. More often than not, they were religious to some extent. Again, women's reputation fuels a lot of our behavior. These women tend to be less upfront in their aggression, but they are more sneaky with it, as we saw in the Crowder case. Another example is a conservative woman I know personally did not like the things I was saying online. Instead of just ignoring it and not watching my show like the liberal women I knew, she proceeded to call all of my friends and family in order to destroy my reputation. She even called my old college roommate that she barely knows. Sure, the liberal woman would maybe yell and scream at me, but at least that was upfront instead of a sneaky attack that you did not know about until years later. Taylor Swift, for example, is pretty open with her failure of relationships. At least Travis can see that coming. But oftentimes, the good girl in church is more sneaky because she has built her reputation on being a woman of God. The other thing I noticed was that sex workers and slutty women understood men more than conservative women. The sluts study men and what they like. You can see this by how they dress and the way they would describe their interactions with men. On the other hand, they did have a lot of sexual experience to come to this conclusion, but I found that they at least understood the basic seduction of men where conservative women often did not. Conservative women, based on what men have told me, are far more likely to weaponize sex as a method of control. They are taught to withhold sex in order to get marriage, so why would that stop after marriage? Now, at least when the liberal women are asked, do you obey your husband, they say no. And the men know what they are getting. But conservative women, on the other hand, have found funny workarounds like I will only obey my husband when he follows God, and conveniently forget about being obedient to your husband in all things. Now, your experience may be different, and I don't mean this to rag on conservative women, as liberal women have a different set of problems. But these experiences caused me to see people beyond politics. Politics does not make you a better wife or a better person. A conservative man is not automatically going to be a better husband, and a conservative woman is not automatically going to be a better wife. But this leads me to my next point. The people that tend to want to change the world tend to go crazy. I'm going off the script here because I wanted to tell this story. So I interviewed a man a couple of months ago that had been dead set on changing the world. He was an older guy, and he brought me a stack full of papers proving his point. Now, his point may have been right. It may have been wrong. I don't know. I just knew what he told me. But I could tell that him trying to save the world over time made him completely lose his mind. Even if he was right, it didn't matter because he had lost his mind over time trying to change everyone's mind around him. A better strategy is to make a ton of money and then try to change things. Trump became a billionaire, wasn't overly political, and then he ran for office. Elon Musk did more for free speech than any political pundit, and he was a liberal. Sure, there are different strategies, but in my opinion, the people that think they can control the universe tend to go insane. So, what is my point today? Because we did cover a broad range of topics. Vote Trump and move on with your life. If you're unsure, watch the debate. But outside of that, it's far better to focus on how to be a better person and improve your life. Being a conservative woman or man does not make you a better wife or husband. Many of these men and women see themselves as having already won because they are married and now spend very little time trying to improve themselves. Women that truly like a guy will change their political beliefs over time. You get one vote for president, and you can be far more influential in local politics. Many people use politics as a buffer for things they cannot fix in their personal life. It could be relationships, money, or something else. It's far better to spend time fixing your money, relationship, or weight problem than spending your life fighting a political battle. The presidential debate is another example of one gender, won't say which one, having to become a billionaire to be in their position, and another gender, could be either, using sexuality to get ahead.